All right, another good day out there. Injury-wise, before anybody asks, most of our guys scrimmaged. The guys that didn't were Brian Thomas, Reed McKeska, Ja'Kai Moore, Nick Elksness, and Elijah Davis. Nick Elksness, Ja'Kai, Reed McKeska, and Brian Thomas. All those guys should be fine. Would expect them back this week for sure. Nothing long-term. During the scrimmage, we had a couple hamstring issues that some guys weren't able to finish in the secondary, but nothing long-term. So from that standpoint, knock on wood, but really in so much better health now than we were last year. Looking back at last year, on this day last year, we had, I think it was 11 players that did not participate in this scrimmage that started the preseason healthy. And this year, most all those guys. Reed hasn't really been healthy since we started. So other than Brian, Ja'Kai, Nick, and Elijah, I mean, that's 4 guys, and they're all going to be back. So we're in good shape from a health standpoint, especially gratifying after a physical preseason camp that we've had. We got a lot of plays in today. 64, 74, 84, 94, a little over 100 plays again today. We wanted to make this as game-like as possible. As I continue to say, and I'm always going to be on my soapbox, we don't get a preseason game or a scrimmage against another team in college football. So you got to make these as game-like as possible. And last week we got a lot of plays run in the scrimmage. We call it preseason games. In the preseason game last week, we got a lot of plays run, but not really game-like in the sense that we got 130 plays run in an hour and a half. You're not going to be in the stadium for an hour and a half. So we did everything today just like a game. The pregame schedule that we'll have on August 31st when we're at the hotel, went through that. We did it identical other than just being at the hotel. Went through the pregame warm-up routine so they can get a feel for that. We went through coming in off the field after pregame warm-ups, going into the locker room like we'll do. We came out of the tunnel. We played after 2001. Then we played Sandstorm. We got all of our plays run. We had TV timeouts today where our guys could get used to there's a change of possession, and there's probably going to be a TV timeout where it's going to be a 3-minute break, and they've got to take that 3-minute break and get ready to go play again. We had crowd noise in there at times. During the TV timeouts, we played videos on the video board. We had a halftime. So we tried to make it as game-like as possible without, and we did, other than just not having another team across the sideline. Overall, with the scrimmage, was pleased. Defensively, thought they played really well. And continued to just make strides and get better. We played most of our guys that are going to be playing against Old Dominion. They got a lot of plays today. So whereas, our starters did not play a bunch last week, they played quite a few today. So they'll be in the physical condition they need to be in order to play however many plays it takes against Old Dominion on August 31st to hopefully win the football game. So we got a lot of plays run. And with our top guys, defensively, thought they did a lot of really good things, flew around, tackled well. Disappointing thing, we gave up some 3rd and long conversions defensively where they should have been off the field, and we give up an explosive pass or an explosive run on 3rd and long, which can't happen. We dealt with that last season at times. We've been really good about giving up explosives, and we didn't necessarily give up explosives. It was we miss a tackle and a guy runs for a first down or whatever it might be. So we got to be better about getting off the field in some of those 3rd downs. Not many. We had 4 of those. So I think there were a bunch of 3rd downs, and most of the time we were good, but we had some instances like that where we didn't get off the field. Offensively, I thought we moved the ball well and did some good things. We just too many negative plays from an offensive standpoint. And when I say that, guys, I'm talking the first group, the second group, the third group, everybody. So in totality, if you look at the offense with some young guys that we're trying to get better as quick as possible, we had some struggles in regards to just tackles for losses, some penalties, things like that, where we got a drive going and then we go backwards. But thought coming out of the halftime that we had, was really proud of particularly the offense, the way they responded and put together some drives. We did a 2-minute drill at the end with Lenoris and Robbie both, and both of those, resulted in being able to kick a field goal to win the game. I know some of you will probably ask about the kicking situation. Alex Herrera hit some really good balls calls today. I think those kickers have had 2 good days in a row. We put them in some pressure situations last night. We came in the stadium and did a practice under the lights, and all of our guys, kickers, really stepped up last night. We put them in some pressure situations, and then today as well, tried to put them in as many situations as possible, and thought they did a good job. So we'll crank up again next week. We are really at the end of preseason camp. Classes start here at Carolina this week, so tomorrow will be like a normal in-season Monday. Tomorrow starts our mock game week, so we'll go through a similar what's the word I'm looking for? Exact schedule that we'll do when we play Old Dominion. We'll go through that this week, so our guys can get a feel for what a game week is like in this program, because we do have a lot of new players. So tomorrow is like a normal in-season Sunday. We won't practice, but we'll just come in, watch the tape, meet, and lift, and then Monday will be their NCAA required mandatory day off. So we always take Mondays off during the season. And then I think I get to visit with these guys on Tuesday, right? So we get to have a press conference on Tuesday. We'll practice Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Then we'll be at Carolina Calls on Thursday night at Backstreet's Grill for the first call-in show of the year. So hope to see you guys at that. And then Friday will be a normal Friday, and then we'll give our guys off Saturday next weekend to just kind of get away for a day or so if they want. And then we'll come back in here a week from Sunday, end of game week, ready to roll. So I apologize. That's probably the longest opening statement in the history of press conferences, but hopefully I got a lot of questions answered and we can fire away. David?
Shane, a couple for you. One, Rocket wasn't on your injury list. How did he look today?
Great. We like I said last week, we held him, and again going into last Saturday, he had practiced and had been fine. And in the preseason game last week, we did some 7-on-7 before the scrimmage started, and he participated in that. We just didn't put him in the actual play-in part of it. Today we did. We wanted him to get tackled. That happened some in practice this week where we tackled in practice, and he got tackled a couple times, and then it happened today. I thought he looked great. He's a pro. Ran the ball hard. People don't talk enough about him in pass protection. He's really good in pass protection, and that's so critical, obviously, at the running back position. He runs good routes in the passing game. He can catch. He's just a really good overall running back. We got him some carries in there today, and I thought he showed that he's Rocket Sanders.
And also, do you have an official declaration on QB1 yet? Does that mean need to wait a couple days?
I'm wait a couple days. We'll get in here. Once I leave you guys, I'll go back across the street and watch the tape of everything. Tonight, I thought both those guys, including Davis Bevel, he did some good stuff today for us and came in and made some nice throws and did some good things. Robbie and Lenoris took the bulk of the reps with the first couple groups, and thought they both flashed and did some good things in the run game and the pass game. Particularly, we're not running the quarterback in scrimmage, but some scramble situations where they broke out of there. Thought they showed what a weapon they can be when things do break down. We'll look at the tape and then get into next week and kind of see where we are. But I know we have, more than one quarterback that we can win football games with.
Is there one area today or maybe a couple where you feel like you took the biggest jump from scrimmage last Saturday to this week?
Not really. Like I said, I was pleased with the way we kicked the ball for the most part. I know I said last week that Kai was putting the crap out of the ball, and he continues to. And then Alex is doing a nice job, or did a nice job. And then William Joyce, I believe, got in there and kicked some. Mason Love got in there and kicked some. So I feel like we've gotten better there. And we really wanted to come in today, Alan, and be able to throw and catch a little bit. We coming into today, if you say, okay, we kind of know who our top couple running backs are, let's get these other guys some carries and see what they can do. And then we said, let's really kind of figure out what our receivers can do. So let's throw and catch the ball a little bit more than maybe we did last week. And thought some receivers flashed today and did some good things. And overall, and I told the team this last night, we got better as a team this week. There's no question in my mind from last Saturday when I talked to you guys after this preseason game to today. We really got better in practice this week and feel like everybody made strides and still have a long ways to go, don't get me wrong, but like the progress that we made this week.
Shane, you just talked about the offense throwing the ball a lot more today. On the flip side of that, how did the DBs look, the secondary look? And I know you guys have a battle going on over there with who might be going opposite of a guy like O.D. Fortune. Do you have an idea of maybe who that could be?
Yeah, opposite OD is either going to be Judge Collier, Emery Floyd, or Vakari Swain, So it's going to be one of those three guys. All those guys we feel confident with. I'd feel confident saying all three of those guys are going to play against Old Dominion at corner. And they were really – Judge has the most experience. Judge came in and started games last year for us as a true freshman at corner. You guys know how long and athletic he is, and he can run. He's, been good. Emery's done some really good things. Vakari's done some good things, back there. It's just the consistency part of it, because one mistake, and that's a 80-yard touchdown pass over your head. So we've got to be consistent back there, and thought those guys at corner, competed and showed and made some plays. DQ continues to be, Mr. Steady and Mr. Consistent. Love everything he's about, and really for us, it's just trying to develop depth. So yes, wanting to throw and catch some, we did that, and we completed some passes, and then we also had some passes that were certainly defended against us today by a, pretty good secondary that's led by a pretty good front seven in front of them, in my opinion.
Just for clarity, no hits on quarterbacks in the scrimmages?
No.
Okay.
We did that in the springtime and fall camp last year, and we did it fall camp last year as well, outside of with Lenoris, but not today. We did not do that. I think Lenoris probably would wish we would, and so would Robbie, because every time I blow the whistle, they swear they didn't get tackled and things like that. And every time the defense gets near him, they swear they sacked him. So it'd be easier for me if they were getting tackled. But I try and like in Caddyshack with Rodney Dangerfield, I try and keep it fair, keep it honest, or whatever he said that line in that movie. So.
And from a run game standpoint, what have you seen over the last couple of weeks and coming out of today that gives you some encouragement about beyond just having Rocket there, but what besides just Rocket gives you some encouragement?
An improved offensive line that's a year older, with the guys that played last year minus Nick Gargiulo. Everybody's back. True freshmen that played last season in Tro and Tree, who are a year older and better. The return of a true freshman that probably would have been a starter for us last year if he hadn't gotten hurt, and Marquis Anderson. And the arrival of, some pretty talented freshmen led by Josiah Thompson as well. And then the arrival of Torricelli Simpkins and Kamar Bell on the offensive line. I really like, I would say we have a solid 8 right now. I wish we had more. A solid 8 that we feel comfortable winning SEC football games with. We need more, but I like that 8, so that makes me feel better. Their improvement. I like what our tight end group is doing. That certainly helps in the run game, and then certainly when you have a quarterback that can make plays, with his feet. Was the replay of one of our games. I was watching one of our games from last year in my office yesterday, just looking back at some things from that game, and there were some plays, and I love Spencer to death, but there were some plays where Spencer scrambled and got tackled, and I'm watching it thinking to myself, well, Lenoris and Robbie probably are going to make that guy miss this year as well. So just that element when things do break down, at least in the passing game, and that quarterback, has to scramble, and hopefully it doesn't break down. We got a guy that can make some plays with his feet as well, so that gives me more confidence for sure. Sorry, Jordan. And John, just the running back improvement as well. Obviously bringing back Juju, but now you're talking about Oscar, you're talking about Rocket, you're talking about Jawarn, you're talking about DJ Braswell returning, Bradley Dunn returns. Matthew Fuller really had some nice runs today. I'm excited about his future as well. So more depth at running back. I mean, you guys remember we went into the Kentucky game last year. I think we had 2 scholarship running backs in that game. So hopefully we don't end up in that situation this year, but we have more depth at the running back position also. Sorry.
No, you're good. 2 things. First, last week you mentioned the drops with the wide receivers. How was that today, and how did the wide receivers look?
We had fewer. Did we have some? Yes. When you have 100+ plays, you're going to have some drops, and we did some of those that there isn't an excuse for because they should have been caught. But at the same time, we've worked really hard at that. We've spent more time this week on just not elementary like catching drills and catching the ball, but just more time in walkthroughs, just working on a catch circuit where everybody on the offense just going around and just catching more passes in practice and in walkthroughs. And it's paid off as well. Thought they did some good things, and all of them, I think, flashed at times, and all of them certainly had some moments they would like to have back, but pleased with it. And now we really got to get – and it'll be better for them too, Jordan, as we've thrown the whole offense at them, the last offense and defense, the last 2 weeks of practice. I mean, everything that we do, we've thrown at them. So now we start to get into game planning and having – a smaller game plan of plays and things that they have to know each week will to continue to eliminate the clutter in their head and allow them to play faster.
And then as far as the depth chart, how with a group like the offensive line, where you said there's 8 guys, when do you like to tell them like where exactly they stand on the depth chart and if they are a starter?
Yeah, good question. We'll start to have those conversations this week. Now, having said that, too, you guys know me, and it's not like coach speak. We're all about competition, and we continue to compete. And I'll tell the team on Tuesday morning when we have our 8 a.m. team meeting, I'll tell the team that today we're going to start doing some scout team type stuff. And this is where your role is right now. But it doesn't mean that's where your role is going to be in 3 weeks or 4 weeks or 5 weeks. You'll determine that. I mean, I tell the story all the time. In 2021, TJ Sanders is on the scout team, and every day I'd walk into a staff meeting and tell our defensive coaches, like, what in the heck am I missing? Because this guy over here, we can't block him over here on the offensive field. He can't help us on Saturdays. And shows what I know because I was right for one, but he just was a guy that continued to get better as well. Jaron Willis, you guys have his whole story last year. Jaron Willis started playing last season for us because he was on the scout team. And when we do that in practice, not to get deep and philosophical about how we practice, we don't do a ton of scout team work. I mean, we do it much more like good on good during the week, and I believe in that because that's how you get better. But there will be periods, if we're out there for 2 hours on Tuesday, which we will be, 15 minutes of that total is going to be scout team. So we'll have those conversations. Look, you're going to go there, but we're going to continue to develop you and work with you, and we do that throughout the season. So we'll have those conversations with some guys, as we go into next week because we really start to hone in on Old Dominion. But we do so much, good on good in practice and trying to develop younger guys throughout the year that aren't quite ready that everybody has a chance to improve their role, and everybody, if they don't continue to improve, has the opportunity to lose that role too.
Going back to the quarterback for a moment, would you say the competition between Lenoris and Robbie was close enough and tight enough in the camp where you've got to make a decision, you got to think about some things, or as you sit here tonight, do you have a pretty clear idea in your head coming off today, like who it's going to be?
No, I meant what I said a minute ago when I said I feel like we have we got multiple quarterbacks that I feel like we can win games with, and I mean that. I mean, when you talk about Davis and Robbie, you're talking about 2 guys that have started games in, I guess, with Texas or with Oklahoma now being the SEC, they've started SEC games. It was a Big 12 game at the time, but they've started SEC games, so they have that experience. And no, I do, because I feel confident in all those guys, and we'll sit back and kind of look at everything. And that's not to say that Lenoris hasn't continued to improve. He has. I mean, Lenoris has had a great preseason. I feel like Robbie and Davis, continue to get better. Without a doubt at the quarterback position, and all those guys would like to have plays filled that they could have back over the last 14 practices that we've had. So certainly like the group, and we are all about competition and love to compete. And those guys have done a great job of competing and pushing each other, and they will continue to no matter who goes out there for the first play against Old Dominion in 2 weeks.
Sticking with the QB theme, obviously limiting hits is a necessity, but when you have guys like you mentioned that bring such an extra element of their size and mobility, does it add a challenge for you in evaluating them when you're not able to see them at that full speed to kind of show that off?
Yeah, we've seen Robbie on tape do that in games, where he's had – you're talking about the quarterbacks, right? Yeah. So we've seen Robbie do that on tape in games. We've seen Lenoris do it in games out there against Vanderbilt, last year, and in practices where we've made him live. We've done that, not just in in scrimmages we've done that, and then some periods in practice where we've made it live, not this year, but leading into this year. So we got a pretty good idea about that. When you're 240 pounds and run close to 22 miles an hour, you got a pretty good idea of when he gets rolling that he'll be hard to bring down. And the thing for him is all those guys is just continue to develop throwing the ball and everything else that goes into the run game as well.
Which of the first-year freshmen do you guys feel like, like right now they're going to be a part of the game plan and playing here in 2 weeks?
Oh, man, it's a good question. So we're allowed to take – we got 119 players on our team right now, and we're allowed to take 74 to SEC away games. So I did last week kind of a preliminary, if we played Kentucky today and we can take 74 players, who would be on the trip. And there would be freshmen literally at every position, other than probably defensive tackle right now, that would be going on the trip as true freshmen. So we're trying to get them all ready to play. And I like the freshman class. It's a talented group, and there's going to be a lot of those guys out there in game one for sure. You guys will have to wait for the depth chart that y'all wait all year for it's like release hot off the press to kind of see. I know it is. I put a lot of time into it. And when does that go out? Is that this week or is that
Next Monday?
Next Monday. Wow. All right. But I mean that. No, seriously. Like every position, I think I know you'll see guys in the secondary. You will at linebacker. You will at defensive end. Obviously, you will at offensive line. You will at running back. You will receiver. You will in tight end. You will that there'll be freshmen there playing, and who knows, there may be more positions as well. But that's kind of where we are right now.
Answered one of my questions about the receivers, but more so, how do you feel with the tight end position? Do you feel like you're talented and deep enough to run 12 personnel a lot this year? And a second question, mainly for you, coming into your fourth year, what can you take from the first 3 years and not only become a better coach, but help this program elevate to the next level?
Yeah. Tight end wise, yes. I wish that Reed McKeska and Nick Elksness had been healthy today and able to practice, because when we talk about was that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys out, that's 2 tight ends. So the majority of the guys that got work today were Josh and Brady and Michael and Maurice Mo, and Connor Cox as well, and Lucas Vose, who's one of our tight ends also. So we'll I do for sure, to answer your question in regards to having 2 tight ends on the field at one time, absolutely. Brady's been great. Josh has been great. Mike's been really good as a true freshman. There's one of your true freshmen, Hill. Mo Brown as I talked about last week, is going to help us there. So I think we can do some things with those guys and allow us to do some things in the run game and pass game both, because they're not just your big prototypical tight ends. They're just big guys that can block. They can help us in the pass game as well. And then 3 years going into 4, you learn every year. I learned after 21, going into 22. I learned and going into 22 and 3, and then 3 going into 4 and whatnot. I think for me, it's just trying to, and I've talked about this before, just looking at lessons from last year and just being able to tweak things in regards to preseason, for example, and how we do things. As far as what we do in practice isn't really different, but the structure's been a little bit different this year in regards to what we've done the last 2 weeks in the daily schedule. I learned and realized, okay, we need to be better coming out of the gate in September. We haven't been good enough in September against Power 5 teams, Power 4 now, in the month of September. And we need to be better. So let's tweak some things maybe in August to allow us to be better. That's one thing. This thing today, last year we didn't do this. Last year we did what we did today as far as the pregame routine we did on Friday, 8 days before the first game. Just we do like a situational practice and cover every situation known to man that can happen in a football game. We'll still do that this Friday, don't get me wrong, but we did this whole routine today just so we're hopefully more prepared for game one. And we don't just get out there and it's new to us because we haven't been out there in a scrimmage situation for 3 hours. We're usually out there for an hour and a half, and today we were. So just things like that. So hopefully it's good. We'll see.
Shane, I was wondering, starting the mock game week, did you have to have the second scrimmage today? Was there a possibility maybe to push it off till next week, or is there a rule about that?
No, you can do whatever you wanted to do. I would prefer we don't do it next week just because I don't want to do that so close to a first game. So we could have done it any time, David. What we try and do is Jabari Ellis and Eric Douglas were here today, and I think about this because in year one, on the Saturday before the first game, we practiced and we had like a situational practice the week before the first game. I remember Jabari coming in my office and he's like, "Hey man, I'm not going to be here next year, but maybe next year, here's something I've learned. Maybe next year, this Saturday, week before the first game, is really the last time we're going to have a day off before the off week. It'd be nice maybe next year for the guys if you gave them Saturday off so they could go home if they wanted to and then come back on Sunday." And I'm like, you're exactly right. Coaches are tired. Players are tired. So that's what we started doing. So we do it today, kind of like the NFL back when they played 4 preseason games. That third preseason game would always be the one where the starters play the most, and then they got a week off, and then they go play. So that's what we're doing. We'll do a physical regular practice Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Friday this week will be the situational practice, and then we'll be done by 6 o'clock on Friday evening, and then the players will be off Friday night, all day Saturday, Sunday morning, and then back in here on Sunday.
And a less analytical question, today was move-in day over on campus. I know you love engaging with the student body. Didn't know if you had any message for them about joining the Gamecock family and hopefully getting excited to come support the team.
Yeah, I am. I went over on Monday night and got to speak to the band at Colonial Life Arena, which was pretty awesome. Those guys and ladies are a fantastic group. Much respect for them, the sacrifices that they make, that on a Monday night in the arena, they're in there practicing for August 31st. So I got to talk to them about just what a big part of what we do out there on Saturdays they are and the environment that they create. And then the message to the students would be the same thing. I know I'm meeting on, Monday, meeting with some student leaders on Monday just to tell them the same message, just how important they are to creating a great environment in Williams-Brice on football Saturdays, and it's the greatest environment in college football. And our students, our fans, our band, the cheerleaders, everybody, they're an integral part of that, and can't wait to see them all in 2 weeks as well.
You said didn't go last week, but weren't on the injury report today. Juju McDowell and Ben Martin-Scott, how did they look to you?
Good. They both played. They both did everything. Juju's Juju, full of energy, did a nice job. Bam, same thing, really excited about him and the year he is about poised to have. I think he had a really good day.
How clear is your vision on how you want to use Juju and Luke Doty?
Good question. Those are two guys that I feel like we are better when they are on the field because of the kind of players and people they are. And I think in regards to how we use Juju and Luke will be very, game plan specific in a lot of ways. I wouldn't say that Juju's just a whatever type running back that's going to get 10 plays a game. I mean, I see him as more than that, and he's had a really good preseason. Luke is a leader of our offense and leader of our football team and works really, really hard. So both those guys are, going to help us on special teams. Juju may end up being our punt returner. There's a little sneak preview on the depth chart for you fellas as well. So he's going to be in the mix as a punt returner. And obviously, he had the great long kickoff return against East Carolina in 2021. So he can help us in the return game. He can help us at running back. Luke is going to be able to help us on special teams and help us at receiver as well. So, I wouldn't say it's a clear vision of here's exactly what we're doing with these guys each week. And I say that meaning I feel like we can do whatever we need to with them as well. There's nothing that you say, okay, well, those guys can't necessarily do that. They can do a lot that those other, running backs and receivers can as well.
Got two for you, if that's okay. Starting off with the offense, I know. Sorry, Steve. I know it's only been 1 week since the last scrimmage, but was there like a big difference in something you could kind of pinpoint with the way in which the offense operated today?
Going back to from last Saturday, you mean?
Yeah, from last Saturday to this week.
Not really. I think maybe just more familiarity. And don't get me wrong, I mean, there were things last week that we needed to be better at. There were things this week that we need to be better at. Probably just an overall understanding of everything. I mean, when we came back, we kind of threw everything at them last week, and it wasn't like we added a lot of new stuff this week. We did situational stuff. You know, Sunday we went out and we did backed up. So you're the offense and the ball's on the 2-yard line and you've got to get it out and you're on the road and the crowd's going crazy. We did that scenario. And then between Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we worked overtime. We worked into the game where we have the lead offensively and you're trying to run the clock out. We call it 4 minute. Defense is trying to get the ball back. We worked a lot of 2 minutes. So we worked a lot of situational things this week in practice. So we weren't adding a lot of new things. So from last week to this week, there should be a better understanding of what we're doing schematically because there wasn't a lot of new stuff. So if anything, I would just say that.
And then how good do you feel about the offense's ability not just to be able to run the football, but also be versatile enough to also pass the football, mix it up a little bit?
I feel good. Are we where we need to be? No. Do we have a first-round draft pick out there and an NFL quarterback like we did last year with Spencer and Zay? No, but we're going to be good enough. I think those receivers continue to get better. I mean, you think about it, two of the top receivers that we're counting on this year, Nick Harbor and Dale Von Campbell and Vandravius Jacobs, and none of those three were even here during spring practice. So this is literally their 14th practice as a Gamecock in 2024, or Gamecock ever if you're the two transfers, and we're counting on those guys. So they're continuing to get more and more comfortable with our quarterbacks. They continue to flash and make plays. They've had some really good moments in practice this week, those three in particular, but all of our guys, you know, Gage, Peyton Mangrum caught a ball today and had a long touchdown run after catching a pass. I mean, he's a guy that we have a lot of confidence and faith in. So we'll be fine at receiver, and then you add the tight end element to it as well that can help us in the passing game. So I feel good. Don't feel great, but, you know, you never feel great. It's always a work in progress.
Mark, he missed some time, obviously, earlier during camp.
Yeah.
How's he coming along? Is it anything related to stuff that he's dealt with in the past?
He's coming along. Nothing really related to anything in the past, just kind of banged up and aggravated. He didn't do a whole lot today. He was out there and did a little bit. Hadn't done a whole lot this week, trying to get him like as close to 100% before we go into this week, and hopefully we can really have a good week with him Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, because he's a guy that we need out there. Like I said, if he had been healthy last year, I feel confident saying he probably would have been a starter for us at the guard position or one of the guard spots, and certainly would have played. And somebody that he's a really talented guy if we can just get him where he's 100% healthy and keep him rolling.
Thank you, Coach.
You got it. Thank y'all. Thank y'all.